Hey everyone, it's Colin. Today on Remarks with Republicans, I'm talking with someone who's part of the next wave of the younger conservative leaders, Noah McCammon. From his work as a field rep in Quincy to his passion for building a stronger future for rural communities, Noah brings a grounded and authentic perspective that I think you're really going to enjoy. Let's get into it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Whoa, hey.
Remarks with Republicans is starting right now. Noah, for viewers who may not know you yet, tell us who you are. How did a young guy from this region end up involved in politics?
Sure. Well, I'm Noah McCammon. I'm with Congresswoman Mary Miller as the field rep for the western region of our district. And really, I got involved in politics. I'd always been kind of tacitly aware through my family. They're pretty political, but not politically involved. I would say I got drawn to it, I think, by God. I think he encouraged me to pursue a life of public service. And it started with Blaine Wilhauer. He's a state representative down where I'm from in Effingham, Illinois. He was elected and he was a part of our church, and I think that played a big part in opening my eyes to public service in the first place.
What moment or experience made you say, I want to get involved in Republican politics?
Yeah, more or less kind of the same answer. However, I would say when I was talking about State Representative Blaine Wilhauer, that kind of opened my eyes, but whenever I was about to go to college is when I kind of made that decision to pursue the life of public service. I had originally planned to be a chemistry teacher, and God had other plans. So,
did you grow up in a political home, or did you come to your beliefs on your own?
Yeah. So my parents were very conservative, very religious. So I got to know Republican policies through my dad mainly. And then I also kind of had the contrasting view from my sister, who's a bit more liberal. So I definitely would say I got a political understanding from my family. Absolutely.
Who have been your biggest influences, mentors, teachers, local leaders, or authors in shaping your political philosophy?
Yeah. So a personal example, whenever I was going to Eastern Illinois University, I had a professor who is a Catholic priest. I'm not Catholic personally, I'm a Protestant, but he taught communications and argumentation and critical reasoning, which I would encourage you to take some logic classes once you get into college someday. You're a bright kid, but he really helped me to kind of understand that I could be vocal about my political beliefs on campus. He was a great help, and I admire him greatly.
These aren't many people your age working professionally in politics. What motivated you to take this path instead of something more traditional?
Yeah, again, I felt like God was calling me to public service. I guess that.
What do you think the Republican Party is getting right with young voters, and where does it need to grow?
I think the Republican Party is getting better with young voters. You have the Republican Party, the Illinois State Party, and your county parties. You also have Republican pundits like the late, great Charlie Kirk. He kind of started to push the party in the right direction, I think. Going on to college campuses, speaking with students. I think that's where the Republican Party is starting to head in the right direction. I feel like they were kind of, college-age students were kind of forgotten by the Republican Party for a while there, because we've always assumed that the college institutions are, kind of controlled by the left, so there's no point in even trying. But I think we're opening our eyes to that, and I think that's really good. I know Champaign County specifically, they've been making great pushes with their election cycles, getting involved there at the U of I campus.
Do you feel young conservatives are misunderstood? What's the biggest misconception people have?
I do think I'm going to speak more broadly about like Generation Z. I do think that Generation Z is kind of misunderstood by a lot of kind of older generations, mainly because I think people see all the crazy things that kids are doing with their lives and destroying their bodies and stuff, and they kind of assume that that's kind of the core belief that Gen Z has. I think what I've seen is a great revival. I see a field that has, there's a great harvest that can be made, but the workers are few. I think the workers are getting larger in number, but mainly I think people need to understand that Gen Z isn't bought by the left yet.
How do your friends or peers react when they learn you're a Republican actively working in politics?
I've certainly had different reactions. I have a lot of my friends are kind of a little bit more left-leaning. Some of them are conservative, at least from my hometown. There's been some supportive people, and then there's been some people that don't want to do anything with me anymore because of who I work for. But that just shows you that we're doing something right, I suppose.
What do you see as the future of the Republican Party from your generational vantage point?
Yeah, I like I was saying before, I think there's going to be a great revival in the younger generation if we stay on the course that we're on. I think that God is be included more into politics. I think that there is a greater focus on that. I think both the parties are becoming a little bit more radical in the sense that we're becoming more grassroots, we're becoming less establishment. Not that there's anything wrong with establishment Republicans versus grassroots Republicans, but I think that we're headed more in a grassroots direction.
What inspired you to pursue public service at such a young age?
Again, I kind of started to ponder that whenever I was going into college. I didn't know what I was planning on doing. I just felt God speaking to me through sermons and wanted to obey His will. So.
What skills or strengths do you feel younger professionals bring to politics that older generations might overlook?
I think one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest skills that younger Republicans tend to offer is on the technology side. I've seen some really great graphic design people who make really great ads, really great political ads, or even on the official side, I've seen, it's typically the younger guys that are involved in making the kind of our mailers and stuff like that. Any of our kind of advertising for our events or anything like that. I would definitely say on the tech side. Additionally, I think we need more young Republicans involved because we really need people out there working hard in the streets. Not that older generations don't do door knocking; they certainly do. But we don't want to leave that all up to elder generations. We definitely need some youth in the party, absolutely.
What has been the most challenging part of being a young staffer in government, and what has been the most rewarding?
Yeah, well, on the official side, working in the official office of Congresswoman Mary Miller, The most difficult part, I would say, is probably just grasping an understanding of, the intricacies of the bureaucracy, what avenues you have to go down to actually resolve some issues. Because I got a degree in political science, and they don't really teach you stuff like that in college. Unfortunately, they focus more on the political side. But I would say the greatest reward that I've gotten from working on the official side is just helping people through their issues. I helped a woman who was applying for Medicare and Social Security benefits and had found out at that time that she was not registered as a U.S. citizen. She had lived in the U.S. all her life. Her parents were U.S. citizens, but she was born in Canada. And so we had to get her a passport eventually because they couldn't find the original Canadian birth certificate to send into the Department of State. And just helping out people like that who are kind of at the end of their rope and they don't know where else to go. That is the most rewarding thing that I think I ever get to participate in.
Has being close in age to younger constituents helped you connect with issues others might miss?
I think so, but then again, we're only kind of getting the young people involved in politics and government now. It's kind of a difficult question to answer because most people that call into our offices are typically either middle age or elder age. I can get I think really the only kind of difference you see is a perspective on the use of technology in making the government more efficient. That's probably one of the biggest differences I notice of kind of expertise and understanding.
What issue areas are personally the most important to you? Ag, education, rural development, economy, etc., and why?
Mm-hmm. Well, whenever I was first interested in politics, I would have told you energy and moving on to nuclear power. Nowadays, with the way our world has been headed the past 4 years, I think the biggest issue for me is how we've kind of lost sight of God in the country, and we need to bring him back in. So tacitly, with that, I would say the pro-life issue. We're currently working on the Congresswoman is trying to get an act passed called the Screen Act. It would require age verification for adult content websites. That's something that we're all very passionate about on staff. We want to make sure that children are protected. We want to keep their minds clear of any evil indulgences. We don't want them to be kind of contaminated by some bad ideologies, basically.
As someone out in the community daily, what do you love most about West Central Illinois?
What I love about West Central Illinois the most, it's gotta be, so I'm from Effingham, about 3 hours southeast of here. The land is completely flat. It's wonderful farm ground. And especially as you go up towards Mahomet, Illinois, you have some really rich soil. Heading out to western Illinois, being over here in Adams County, Hancock County, you get some more elevation, which it's just a beautiful place to live. I love it. I love it out here. I really do.
What challenges do you see younger families, students, or new workers facing in this region?
That's a tough question, depending on where you're talking about. I think more north of here, I think there is a little bit less kind of industry, and so depending on what a student or what a kid wants to do or a younger constituent wants to do, they may have to move out, or they may feel like they have to move out. I think that's one of the greater challenges. If they want to stay where they're living, they may have to build up their industry themselves, which is a honorable and admirable task to commit to, and would be extremely difficult.
How do you think young leaders can help revitalize small towns and rural communities?
Yeah, I would say, President Trump has kind of put more of a focus on Main Street instead of Wall Street in his presidency, and that's kind of what he campaigned on. And I think he's doing a great job with the working families tax cuts, bringing down additionally waste, fraud, and abuse in some of our governmental programs like SNAP and Medicaid or Medicare. That's going to put a lot of money back into working families' pockets, freeing up more space to do those things that I was talking about in the last question. Younger people might be able to actually afford starting up an industry. They might be able to afford, taking out a loan to start up a business if they need to. I think he's doing a great job of putting money back into working families' pockets. It might not be immediate right now, but in the long term, I think we're going to see some really great benefits there.
If you had to explain your core Republican values in just a few sentences, what would they be?
I can answer this in one, I think, and that'd be from Colossians 3:17. In everything that you do, whether in word or in deed, do it in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, and giving thanks to the Father through him. That's what drives me, and that's that's one of my favorite verses. I hope to make good on that and continue doing what the Lord wills, and that'll drive my politics every day.
What do you think separates your generation's conservatism from older generations?
I think it goes back to kind of that revival that we were talking about earlier. I think we're going to see a lot more young people going back to church. We do see that, in fact. I know younger generations in the Catholic Church specifically are seeking out more traditional services, like Latin masses and stuff like that. Their younger generations are getting more involved with new media, podcasts and such. This is a great example. I think the driving force there is going to be pretty similar to mine. But not everyone's the same. There's certainly a great number of atheists, conservatives as well. I think the majority are going to be people coming back to the faith.
If you could inspire more young conservatives to get involved, what message would you give them?
Well, I would first tell them about their county parties, because growing up I had no idea that county parties were a thing until I started interning with the Congresswoman in the Effingham office. A lot of people don't know what a PC is, a precinct committeeman. As a PC, you get to go out, actually get to inform constituents on local town politics, and state politics too, and even your congressional candidates like Mary, and kind of your county party has a lot of power. Your county party sends your PCs to the state party convention. They make decisions there that will really affect the course of the party. Young people just need to be a little bit more educated, and this is not a fault on them at all. They need to be more educated on what their county parties can actually do, because right now that's not something yet that you talk about in school at all, and I think that's kind of been a failure on our Republican Party as of late. But we're doing a much better job, I think, of informing students about that, about county parties, which is good.
Favorite local coffee shop or hangout in Quincy?
In Quincy, I don't really drink coffee all too much, but I'll say my favorite kind of restaurant there is definitely a Times Square cafe. They make really great brunch. Everything is, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe everything is locally sourced produce, locally sourced meat. That's my understanding. It is delicious, and if you're ever in Quincy, definitely stop in there.
Political book or podcast you recommend to other young conservatives?
I would say the podcast that I listen to the most is probably the Michael Knowles Show. He is Catholic, so if you're not Catholic, you may not like him. I'm not Catholic, and I love him a lot. But he definitely puts a religious perspective on the news. Additionally, the Glenn Beck Show is really great. That's one that I was recommended by someone on staff in Mary's office. He does a great job of covering news that may not make the headlines. So I would encourage people to listen to or watch those podcasts. Yeah.
Hidden talent or hobby most people wouldn't guess?
Well, I did play the drums for quite some time. I think I'm pretty good at it. I actually just gave away my electric set to a young kid in Quincy recently, though, so I won't be drumming too much anymore.
One Illinois town everyone should visit at least once.
That is a tough question because there's so many great towns in Illinois. I would say Shelbyville has a interesting lake. If you like to golf, it's a bit of a drive from here, but down more where I'm from, there's I believe it's Neoga. Has a really great golf course, but no, there's every small town has their own charm, and every big town has kind of their own vibrant life, too. So I don't think that you can go wrong with any of them.
If you could have lunch with any Republican figure, past or present, who would it be?
Past or present, you mean living or deceased?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say Charlie Kirk. I would love to sit down with him.
And final one, best advice you've ever received?
Probably that whenever you enter public service, your life is in a fishbowl, and you need to, everyone's looking and everyone can see who you are. You need to really represent who you are and who you're working for. Yeah, I would say that.
Thanks for speaking with me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, Colin.